The film begins with Agata recording a new episode of her podcast, Difficult Crimes. At the same time, an unknown woman is seen writing letters. Shortly after, the doorbell rings at Agata's house, and her friend Iris answers, receiving a letter addressed to Agata. Agata is shocked to find it's from her sister Olivia, who asks her to come to her house. Agata travels to Mexico to see her sister. On the way, Iris calls her, and Agata expresses her anxiety because she hasn't seen her sister in 5 years. Iris reassures her and tells her to call anytime, emphasizing that they are a team. Agata arrives at her sister's house and is met by Carlos, who appears to be one of the invited guests. We learn he was Olivia's husband, but they separated. Agata greets Carlos, who shows her his letter from Olivia in which she acknowledges their marriage was his worst deal and asks him to spend one last night with her. At this point, Gustavo, who works at the house, appears. Agata is surprised to see him with many plants. She then enters the house and chooses a room. She hears a sound and investigates, finding Cristina, who has worked for her sister for many years, talking to Carlos. Agata greets them and moves on. She then sees Vigen, a doctor who works at Carlos's hospital. He introduces himself to Agata and tells her that Olivia used to make them listen to her show. He then asks Agata if she knows the secret behind Olivia's strange invitations. Agata replies that they are there to find out. After leaving Vigen, she meets Carrie, Olivia's ex-boyfriend. He greets Agata and says he hasn't seen her since he broke up with her sister. We learn Carrie is an actor. He asks Agata to join him to meet the other guests. Carrie greets Sonia, Olivia's former business partner. Sonia introduces her boyfriend Naram to everyone. At that moment, Cristina enters and reads them Olivia's letter, in which she apologizes for not being able to meet them until dinner on her yacht. She asks them to rest because they will be staying on the yacht. Agata tells Cristina she has chosen her room, and Cristina says Gustavo will move her bags to the chosen room. Naran is curious about the new villa's name. Vigen tells him Olivia named the villa after her adopted daughter Elisa, who died 5 years ago. Agata overhears them and asks Cristina to take her to Elisa's grave to visit. Afterward, Agata returns to her room and Iris reassures her. At this point, Cristina enters the room bringing Agata food and telling her that Olivia and Carlos missed her. Gustavo interrupts, brings in the bags and leaves. Agata learns that Carlos hired him after meeting him at the hospital. They all gather and board the boat with Gustavo, who takes them to Olivia's yacht. Olivia welcomes them and thanks them for accepting her invitation. She tells them they will discover the importance of her invitation tonight. Carlos tries to speak, but Gustavo accidentally drops a glass. Olivia asks him to go back to the house. When night falls, they all gather for dinner. Carrie talks about his roles, but Olivia interrupts and asks them to pay attention to her. She tells them they surely want to know why she invited them. She reveals she has a surprise they will never forget. They become scared when Olivia says they might not return to shore after her surprise. Carrie laughs and asks if it's one of her games. He becomes flustered when Olivia tells him she is serious about everything she said. She tells them they all have reasons to kill the person sitting next to them. She reveals that Agata is her only heir after her daughter's death, making her the richest person at the table. She confronts Carlos, telling him it would be easy for him to throw her overboard. Then she turns to Sonia, telling her she knows Sonia hates her because she stole Carlos, her beloved, who was smitten with Olivia at first sight. Sonia is shocked and asks her not to bring up the topic. Olivia asks Naram if he would take revenge for his girlfriend on the person she hates and kill her because Sonia describes him as her only love. Afterward, Olivia speaks with Carrie and exposes his secret. He owes Carlos a lot of money. Olivia says he could get rid of all his debts by killing Carlos. She then notices Vigen and asks why he is there. She exposes him too, telling him she knows why he resigned from Carlos's hospital. Vigen is flustered when Olivia tells him Carlos hasn't solved the problem yet, and the money he gave him won't ensure he won't be exposed. Carlos silences her, telling her it's between him and Vigen. Olivia tells him he has always cared more about money than medicine, more than her, their home, and their daughter. She addresses everyone present and tells them they are wrong if they think it's a game. She asks them to find out who will apologize and who will say goodbye. She then thanks them for coming and leaves. Agata enters and finds Olivia smoking. She sits next to Olivia and remembers their childhood. Agata tells her she was happy because she wished for an older sister. She shows her the tattoo on her hand, which is the same drawing Olivia drew for her when she was little. Olivia tells Agata she must know that she loves her. Agata tells her she loves her too. When Agata leaves, she overhears Carlos talking to Sonia and tries to hide but fails. Her phone rings and she leaves. In the middle of the night, she hears a loud noise and is shocked to find her sister has fallen off the yacht. Vigen tells them her neck is broken and he could administer first aid, but it won't help because she will die. Carlos asks the captain to call the police, but they refuse because they are between two cities. They return to Olivia's house and call the police, who take her body. The detective refuses to let them leave. Cristina tells them the transmission tower has exploded. The detective refuses Carlos's request to leave and return to his hospital. He asks everyone present to stay in the house until he finds out who will handle the case. The detective tells them he has moved the body to the city and leaves a lieutenant named Julia with them. Agata talks to Julia after the detective leaves, telling her that her sister warned them about what would happen and knew it. Agata is surprised when Julia recognizes her voice and knows she is the host of Difficult Crimes. Afterward, Carlos talks to them. Agata is shocked to learn from him that her sister suffered from depression after their daughter's death, and he tried to get close to her but failed, so he found someone else. Olivia found out and they divorced. Agata mocks him, telling him his plan to get her sister back was well thought out. They then argue and Carlos tells her she was distant and knew nothing about her sister. They are startled by a gunshot which comes from Sonia and Naram's room, where Naram's arm is grazed. At this moment, Agata smells gunpowder throughout the room. She searches for the source until she realizes the smell is coming from the closet. She discovers a secret door leading to a secret room. Julia tries to warn her, saying they need permits, but she doesn't listen and continues searching until Julia asks her to help him with the investigation for his promotion. Agata asks why he is confident she didn't kill her sister. He says he trusts his instincts. Agata agrees to help him and promises to feature him on her show if he solves the case. Agata then notices soap on the desk. She picks it up after smelling it. Afterward, Julia talks to everyone present, telling them they will get out quickly if they cooperate with him in the investigation and tell him everything they know. They agree to let Agata record and write the investigation. She asks Julia to start with Gustavo. They enter Carlos's office to interrogate him. Gustavo tells them he returned home after Olivia dismissed him and went straight to sleep, waking up to a noise he thought was an electrical short. He tells them he has worked for Olivia for 5 years. Agata asks about the time her sister asked him to change the flowers. He tells her she insisted on changing them on the day the guests arrived. Agata quickly records everything he said and tells Julia she needs to go out to make a call. She calls Iris, who tells her what happened and gives her the names of everyone present. She asks her to search for them and says she will call her back when the internet returns. Afterward, she returns home with food as an excuse for her outing. She then asks Carlos, Christina, and Vigen to go to the office for interrogation. Christina tells them she was cleaning when she heard the gunshot. Julia tells her the wound from the rifle in the house is weak and whoever used it likely had no experience. Carlos tells them they must leave the house quickly because it's unsafe. Vigen tries to leave but gets flustered and drops his bag. Agata notices many painkillers and deduces that everything happening is part of her sister's game, that the police won't be able to solve it, and that this game is her last will. She believes Olivia knew everything that would happen, which is why she invited them, and they must cooperate and find the truth before the detective returns. Afterward, they interrogate Carrie, who tells them he couldn't sleep on the night of the incident and left his room after hearing a whisper. He then saw Olivia talking to someone and it looked like they were arguing. Next, she interrogates Naram and learns he was in India recently to learn yoga. She then interrogates Carlos and Sonia and learns they were talking about her perfume on the day she overheard them and Sonia wanted to share it with him. Carrie asks Agata to talk alone. He tells her he believes Olivia invited them for a purpose and that he didn't kill her. He asks her to let him help her. Agata accepts his help and tells him it's time to show them his acting skills. When night falls, Agata goes to the yacht and discovers Vigen searching her sister's room. He tells her he wants to help with the investigation. At this moment, Agata finds a file with the names of children who died during childbirth. She decides to hide the file from Julia and goes to the restaurant. She calls Iris, who tells her Gustavo's story is true. Agata asks her to search for the departments in the file. At this moment, she notices a picture of the governor and his wife in a magazine with a news article stating they were unable to have a child. Agata asks Iris to search for the governor and his wife. The next day, the transmission returns and Agata sees the message Iris sent her informing her that the governor and his wife had been trying to have a child for years and Carlos was involved. Agata gathers everyone and asks Naram his real name, saying he is lying to her. Agata begins the story from the beginning and tells them that Elisa's biological mother was a teenager who committed suicide after childbirth due to postpartum depression. She searched for her and discovered that Naram registered Elisa's mother at the hospital, meaning he is her brother, and he was lying to them, making them believe he was in India, but in reality he was a waiter in a restaurant. One day he saw the magazine and learned about the death of his niece Elisa. He then decided to take revenge on Olivia, so he met her partner Sonia after training in yoga and becoming an instructor. He got close to her and made her fall in love with him. Sonia interrupts and tells Agata she didn't love Naram at first sight and that she hated him until he decided to talk to her about Olivia and that he wanted to take revenge on her. That's why she agreed to be with him and let him into the house. But Olivia told Naram the truth and he realized she adopted his niece without knowing what happened. Sonia says Olivia promised them she would find the truth, which is why they are there. Agata tells them the matter isn't over and reveals there was someone present at Elisa's birth. Carrie speaks and recounts what he did with Christina. He lied to her, telling her he was sick and needed pain relievers. She then gave him medicine and let him sleep on her bed. But Carrie managed to search her papers and found her ID card proving she was a social worker, which proves Christina was present at Elisa's birth. Everyone is surprised when Christina raises the rifle at them, but Agata reassures them and tells them she removed the bullets from the rifle after confirming it was hers from the smell of gunpowder emanating from it. Agata continues and reveals the truth, telling them she suspected Christina after hearing her talk to Carlos, whom she knows built his empire because he was a trusted gynecologist for the richest women in the country, and Christina helped him by lying to poorer women and making them believe their children died. At this moment, the detective enters. Julia gets flustered and tells him everything that happened. Agata continues her speech and tells him that Christina shot Naram because she saw him with her sister in the hospital and wanted to get rid of him. As soon as she saw him in the villa, she put him and Sonia in the room they were in because the secret room Agata entered from the closet leads to Christina's room. Christina asks Agata for proof of her words. It turns out Agata had recorded everything because she left her pen in the room she was in and also her watch, which she left on the table, which had a camera recording everything. Christina breaks down when she sees herself in the video shooting Naram. Carlos asks the detective to take her and put her in the room to rest. Agata continues her conversation with the detective and tells him that her sister killed herself because she had cancer and it was in an advanced stage, and she planned all of this to expose what Carlos and Christina did and prevent them from doing the same to the governor's wife as they did to her. That's why she agreed with Gustavo to take their phones and destroy the transmission, and also to have the captain sail them to the border so the investigation would be delayed and they would be trapped in the house. Gustavo confesses what happened and is surprised when he learns he is blind. This is because Olivia helped him and performed a corneal transplant after Carlos betrayed him. That's why he helped her achieve her last wish. At this moment they see Carlos escaping with Christina, who can't run and falls to the ground. Gustavo remembers that there was a bomb on the yacht and Olivia asked him to put it there because she was afraid Carlos would harm them and try to escape. Agata agrees to blow up the yacht and asks Naram to press the button. Carlos gets tired and throws himself into the water. He is then arrested. Christina enters the hospital. Agata is surprised when Carlos tells her that the saddest thing is that he never stopped loving her sister. Afterward, Agata greets Julian and tells him he will appear on her show. Agata then buries her sister next to her daughter Elisa. After saying goodbye, she leaves with Vigin and introduces him to her friend Iris, who has her sister's autopsy report, which shows that Olivia died due to the amount of morphine in her body. Agata tells him he was the only one with a lot of morphine in his bag. Vigin confesses the truth. He worked at Carlos's hospital and performed a cesarean section on a high-risk patient who died during childbirth. That's why Carlos gave him money and promised to cover up the matter because he was afraid for his reputation. Olivia was the only one who knew about it, so she asked him to take the money and open a clinic to help people. She then asked him to help her and give her morphine injections so she wouldn't feel pain as she died. Carrie was right. She was talking to him before she died and he did it out of compassion. Agata gives Vigin the report and refuses to report him. Afterward, Iris tells her she has good news. They inherited the mansion. Don't forget to follow Yasfilm for drama summaries. Goodbye.